All right, my name is Jim Hartnett, and I am the president of a little company called Ice Rinks. And what I do at Ice Rinks is EIS Rinks. And what I have become, or what I've got hired to do, is be the project manager for the Hartford Hockey Club. I have been in the ice rink business for 30 years, and I've done a few for the AHL. So with the blessing of the AHL and Hartford, we've teamed up to install this rink at Rensselaer Field.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, here we are out in Rensselaer Field, getting ready to start building the ice rink for the Whale Fest. And I guess basically the first couple of things we should talk about is that to build an ice rink, we need a level surface to begin with. And in an outdoor football field, with the pitches and for drainage that the football field is built to, we have to compensate for that and build a level deck. And here we've chose to first to build a sandbox. The grade that we have to go is from 0 to minus 8.5 inches, which means the whole thing pitches 8.5 inches. And we're going to build a box that's 208 foot long by 98 foot wide. And in that, once we get the box built, it's just a simple wooden frame, just a big glorified sandbox we're going to build. We have to put down what we call Murify paper. It's a brand name. It's a geotechnical fabric that we put down to protect the substrata. So we're trying to protect the grass on the field as best we can. Once the box is in and the Murify paper is down, we start bringing in sand. The trucks are bringing it in and leveling it right now. And the sand, I think we're going to wind up with about 750 tons of sand. It'll be laser leveled, so theoretically the whole surface will be dead level, be compacted. It's put in lifts, what we call lifts, and that's just different depths, and then we roll it and compact it and build our way up till it's level all the way across. And of course, all this time, the biggest problem we have is, obviously we're building an outdoor rink, is Mother Nature. So we'll have to contend with the, it's pretty cold out here today, but we'll have to contend with all the weather, snow, cold, sun, warm, rain, whatever happens, we'll have to adjust to and do the best we can to proceed on schedule. Once the sandbox is down, then in comes the ice events people, or the rink people that are actually supplying the refrigeration tubing and the dasher boards. And their first step is to put down a vapor barrier, which contains the, it's just a matter of 6 mil poly plastic, and that contains the water. And when we first start making ice, if there's any leakage in the pipes, because the pipes, the fluid that goes through that is ethylene glycol, so we have to make sure that we don't lose any of that and it doesn't seep through the sand down into the field, because it definitely will kill the roots of the field, the roots of the grass for the football field. So that's a concern, something we have to take a little precaution for. But what happens then is we start, the mat system comes in 6-foot sections. So there'd be 15 sections of that, which would be a total of 90 feet. They all come with built into a header, and the header is connected to, each section is connected in a header, and it's done with a tool, or a fitting called a Victolic fitting, which is a slip joint. You slip it over to two ends, they mate up, put a gasket on it, and then we connect them with these Victolic fittings. Once the headers are all made, which will be at the far end of the field, then we take our temporary mains are in outdoor rinks, we use flexible hose. It's, for those that might not understand, it's a 6-inch hose. It's like a fireman's hose. And that is connected all the way up to the chiller, and up in the far end below the scoreboard, we're going to have a 400-ton chiller, 400 nominal ton chiller, which has pumps on it and everything. That'll make the fluid cold. We'll pump down glycol probably around 0 or 1 degree Fahrenheit. It'll be piped down and it'll be coming back probably at 7 or 8 degrees. That temperature is I say we'll take it down to 0 or 1. That will be primarily for making the ice and if the weather gets cold. that's kind of where we play with the quality of the ice. We will adjust that up and down as the weather outdoor goes up and down. That happens to be, that really is too cold to have playable ice. When the ice gets that cold, it becomes brittle and hard, too hard. So we'll float that up and down depending on what the temperature is at night and what the temperature is during the day and what level of play we have on the ice. As you know, or you may or may not know, there's a schedule of about 75 hockey games from Mike's little guys, little guys and girls, all the way up to the AHL and the alumni skate, the former NHL players. So we've got a great level of play, and we have to maintain the safe and skatable surface for them. So we'll be playing games all the way through to adjust that. The other interesting thing here too is the field didn't have the required power that we needed, so we had to bring in a generator, a diesel fuel generator. So we'll be running that generator, which will give us the electric power to operate the equipment. So now we've got to the point where we've got the matting all rolled out. Now we start to erect the dasher boards. The dasher boards is a steel frame system with high density poly facing on it, and then we have the acrylic shielding, the see-through acrylic shielding that will go all the way around. We're going to build the boxes for the teams a little bigger because we've got a lot more alumni coming than is normally in a hockey game. So we'll build them bigger to adjust for the extra bodies that we'll have on the playing field, on the ice rink, especially for the alumni games. We also, for safety's sake, because there are people coming in and out down at the lower level, we'll have, usually when you have like a women's college team and a men's college team playing back to back, they like to get down on rink level to watch. So we have to protect the people that might be down there working, or some of the players that are waiting to go on the ice. So we're going to put some safety nets up in the end too. They'll be 15 foot high, and they'll be at both ends of the rink. Then I guess we'll commence with our 10 or 12 days of scheduled events. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain the ice to a quality that's necessary for all levels of play. We do have some issues with the sun here too that are interesting. The sun goes right to any dark color, so we will be having our the typical red and blue lines denoting the different zones. The red line going through the center of the ice where the neutral zone is between the two blue lines, and the offensive zones between a blue line and a goal line. And those lines, it's amazing how the sun is radiated right to that dark color. So we'll have to do some extra protection along the lines, probably during the day when no one's here. We'll have some insulation to cover the lines. The other thing is, of course, all these events like this, we will have a great deal of wonderful sponsors that generally have logos in the ice. So dark colored logos will give us a little bit of agita in times, but it's something just like playing with the ice temperature for the quality of ice. We'll adjust to whatever Mother Nature gives us, we'll have to adjust to. We also will have two Zambonis here, and they are Zambonis. I guess political correctness, I'm supposed to call them ice researchers, but in our case we've got two Zambonis that will be used to cut and maintain the ice. We've got a great bunch of ice technicians here, starting with the guys putting the ice in, ice events guys. They have a guy named Scooter Moser, who's the finest, in my 30 years, is the finest outdoor ice guy I've ever been around. He's got all the tricks, and I think between the two of us, we can deal with anything that might come along. And then we have a lot of the Excel ice guys. Scooter will be, or Scoop will be the main, our main Zamboni coordinator, the guy that will assign all the people cutting the ice and dealing with the ice. And so we look forward to the ice being top notch, and the quality of it and the maintenance of it all the way through. I think that'll be the least of our problems. Again, our major problem will be Mother Nature. So that kind of wraps up the installation and what we're going to have. Well, people might find it one interesting note, I guess, is in the outdoor ice, we will carry probably 3 to 5 inches of ice, which is abnormal for those that do ice inside. Inside you carry a nice depth of ideally of 1.5 inches. We'll carry the heavier ice for a number of reasons, mostly to deal with Mother Nature. If we do get a tremendous warm spell that we can't handle, we may have to dry cut, and that means cutting down the ice and not putting any fresh water on. You see the fresh water in between periods when the ice resurface. If we have a warm spell, we won't be able to do that, so we'll dry cut it and give everybody a nice, safe, level surface. And that's pretty much wraps up what's going to happen when we put it in. And then after that, we will come to taking the ice out. And that, again, is if we could let Mother Nature take its course, it's kind of an easy thing to do. But Rensselaer Field has other things scheduled after our ice event, so we have to turn this around fairly quickly. And what happens there is the first thing we'll do is take down the glass dashboards, the boxes, and then we'll get down to the ice surface. And then we have to literally break the ice out to accelerate this. If not, with 4 or 5 inches of ice, it would take forever to get it out. So we'll have to break it out, and the only way to break it out and do minimal damage to the tubing is really with sledgehammers. So we'll break that all out, and we'll bring a payloader out or a front end loader, shovel that ice off, get it out, and let ice events wrap up their tubes. Well, before I skipped a step there. Before they wrap up the tubes, of course, they have to pump down the system, and that's about probably about 3,500 gallons of glycol mixed fluid. So that has to be pumped safely out, effectively into 55-gallon drums. We've probably got about 50 or so, 60 55-gallon drums, which we'll pump that in, load it up, put it on a truck, and get it out of here and save it for the next job. So once the ice is broke up and shoveled off, the ice events guys will then roll up their tubes, pull that out. And it's an interesting note is that the ice events tubes with their glycol, with their boxes, and with their platforms, and with their dashboards, and their shielding, and all the tubing have 4 tractor trailer loads full of stuff that has to be systematically taken out, rolled up, tied up, secured, and loaded on trucks and shipped back to Houston, Texas. So once that's done, we will start the task of removing the sand. That is a bit of a chore. It has to be done in a I don't want to say dainty manner, but it has to be done carefully because we do not want to damage this field. We will bring in some excavators and some bobcats and dump trucks, and we'll haul that 750 tons of sand out to a stockpile out here on the site, where they'll use that in future work around the site. So we're reprocessing whatever we use here. That will probably take 4 or 5 days to get this out. Once that's out, we'll be down to the to the geotechnical fabric. The geotechnical fabric then will be rolled up in smaller pieces, and all the loose sand and stuff on top will be folded up and taken out, dusted off, and then we'll discard the geotechnical fabric. One other thing, then, the last item we have to do is we have to put in a protective decking around to work off of around the field. And in this case, we've a supplier called Armor Deck, and it's a synthetic decking that will take the weight of. Actually, it was developed for the Iraq War, where they built temporary landing fields on the sand. So it'll take those big DC-10 craft that the military uses, loading craft and cargo planes and all those type of things. So it'll take any of the big equipment we got. That does 2 things. It protects the field, and it keeps it fairly easy to move around on the field if weather gets too inclement. So after everything's gone, the last thing that we'll pull out of here will be the armored decking, which was really the first thing to go in. So once that's loaded out, we'll inspect the field. We'll sit down with the agronomist that they've hired, the independent agronomist, and decide what's the best way to proceed. They are going to play 2 games in April on this field, and then the field is scheduled for total resodding. So we'll probably, I guess the game plan is to overseed the field with a ryegrass, put grow blankets over the top of it, grow the field out to a lush green color that they can use for the 2 events in April that they have in the field. And then I understand the field is scheduled to rip up the sod. The sod's been down here, I guess, 8 or 9 years. So rip the sod out and put brand new sod in. So come September or in September, I guess, the football team here for Connecticut University will have a brand new field to play on. So that, in about 5 minutes, is the nutshell of how we build an ice rink outdoors in Rensselaer Field.